Go. And we're complete.
Live streaming is on.
Perfect timing. All right. Good morning, everyone. Bright and early for some of you, real bright and early for some of you, in the afternoon for some others. Thanks for joining today. How's everyone?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Great. Fantastic. I see Kyle's dog's already gearing up to attack in the background. He did mention that he's in a particularly, not sure, particularly good mood this morning, but that's good. I like dogs. I think most of us here do, actually. So
don't worry, mine might be acting as well. You guys may hear him in the background, so apologies now. He's a yapper.
That's all good. That's all good. I think as long as no one delivers a package, mine are usually pretty quiet. So welcome to the second ever CoStarting cohort. I'm super excited that you guys are all a part of it. I think we're just going to jump right in. We have 1 hour live stream time through Jitsi before it cuts us off. So if we, it's kind of nice actually, so we don't accidentally run over because we just can't. If you watched the videos before, I didn't know that in the first couple times, and it just stops at an hour. Okay, let me share my screen and we can get started. All right, so you are all, of course, familiar with CoStarting by now, and what the framework and methodology is about. But I'll just go over, like, very, very briefly, again, what kind of the thought behind this is. Generally speaking, my desire was to create a framework and a methodology to help people launch companies and projects and just get them out and build them in public, right? And get more accountability like through this cohort, get more help from others, right? So the collaborative part is in part, of course, also in this cohort where we can do more together, right? And sometimes that's not necessarily working on it actually together, but just having another set of eyes or the rubber ducky effect, right? You hear me say this a lot, where if you sit in the bathtub, sometimes you just need to tell what's going on to your little rubber ducky, or it doesn't really matter what it is, but by you speaking out loudly about it, right? Or not loudly, but but you're talking about it, sometimes it helps in your own minds to kind of find a solution yourself, right? That's like the water cooler effect, I guess, or something like that. So for this cohort, we have these lovely 5 gentlemen here on the call who all have committed to launch their project. I have not consolidated my branding in this slide apparently yet, because from now on, we're going to use CoStarting.org for everything. However, this website will forward to CoStarting because Lou actually helped me understand a little bit there too. That's a bit of a mess. CoStarting, co-startup, cohorts. What is it, right? So I'm trying to get better there. If you ever have any feedback on that, very much appreciated. So the main reason for the launch cohort, which is this track we are in now, was that I myself and a lot of people I met over the years, maybe engineers, maybe just business people, maybe marketers, it doesn't really matter, but everyone has grandiose ideas and a lot of them, right? And of course, a lot of us have like day jobs and they're not really in this world full time, but overcoming that, what I call launch anxiety, was particularly difficult sometimes. And that could be different things, right? For every individual, that's something else. For me, it's over-engineering. I always over-engineer because I'm an engineer by trade. So I come up with an idea. I try to think about every single eventuality for this product. What could the user want? And then I start building it and it's 12 months later and I lost steam, right? And it's never seen the day of light. So with this cohort, we're giving the 1 month time limit to build something in public while we live stream it, and while the individual projects blog and tweet about it, right? Daily updates. So hopefully that can help some of you. I think the last cohort was very, very successful. Everyone had very, very good feedback. As a matter of fact, to the point where they all kind of said now that they miss it, right? They need something else to keep them on track with their projects. And we're working on that. In part, we instated a buddy system, as you guys know, right? So everyone from the first cohort has now a buddy with the second cohort and is gonna jump on a call with them once a week or so to just help each other. So that should help just to keep kind of the momentum going. Cohort timeline and rules. We have gone over this before. It's more or less the same like in the first cohort. Today we're going to do intros. For the next 3 weeks, we're going to do check-ins, and then we have a final recap of how everything went. For you guys, for the check-ins from next week on, I highly encourage you to try to show something visual. It doesn't have to be finished products, right? Like if you have a logo, if you have, whatever you worked on, like wireframe, maybe you put a landing page up. It doesn't matter. Or, for Chap working on a Kickstarter project, maybe, like the rewards he worked out, right? Like whatever you worked on in the last week, kind of try to show it, put a couple screenshots in it, or a live demo if you want. Just let me know a day before. You guys all committed $100 to it, which you are getting back if you fulfill all of the requirements. And you're also, of course, highly encouraged not to just do a blog and tweet about it. You can, document this wherever you want. Indie hackers, start your own YouTube channel, completely up to you, right? Like we just have a minimum kind of set of requirements. Blogging and tweeting, these are just suggestions. You don't have to follow this format. But what worked well for me is in the blog. Actually, I started changing this slightly going forward here, but for myself. But in the past, I always had a good success with successes, challenges, and asks, right? So that kind of format. And then what are all the successes I had this week? What are all the challenges I had this week? Did I overcome them? Did I not? Is there anything the community can help me with, right? And you'll be surprised, actually, as your newsletter or your blog following grows, you get a lot of responses, actually, from this stuff. We use the same format in my previous company. And over time, we had a couple hundred people on that newsletter, and people would reply, right? Like, let's say we were asking for a specific introduction to a specific company. And more often than not, it actually works. So don't be shy. That's why we're building in public. Tweeting, if you look back on the last cohort, most of the people followed the achievement of today, goal for tomorrow, and learnings kind of format. But same thing here. As long as you post any status update on how the day has been, that's fine. And look at this not as a requirement for the cohort. I mean, it is a requirement for the cohort, but it's not meant to be like a chore, right? What the daily update does for you is it gives you that accountability with yourself to check in with yourself. Have I accomplished anything today, right? Something. And no matter how small that is, that will help. And since you know that at the end of the day or at some point in the day, you're going to have to do some sort of status update. You also know that you have to plan for doing something, right? Because I struggle with that as well. Like sometimes you just kind of all over the place because these projects tend to get pretty big. There's a lot of things to do. But since we have check-ins every day and every week, you need to start being structured a little bit. And of course, if you have any trouble with that, face the cohort participants and ask for help, if some structure doesn't work for you. So these are all the people we have on the call, as everyone can tell. I think everyone looks pretty similar to their pictures. I am not going to go into the sites. I just wanted to have the names and the logos of what the projects are here real quick to introduce you guys. I think you can all introduce yourself with the slides we're going over. We're going over every project like we did in a dry run last week. So just, be yourself, introduce what you're working on, why you're working on that, why you're excited. And, if you want to say hi to your grandma, you can do that too. All right, with that, I pass it over to Timo, Plot Maniac.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Timo. I'm working on a project called Plot Maniac. And what I'm trying to do here, or trying to build, is actually a platform where authors or creative storytellers can really organize their story or like their plot in general. And I want to give you a little bit background here, because I've always, my life always consumed, let's say, good stories one way or another, through a book, through a movie, through a show. And I always kind of liked it. And I felt the urge at some point to create a nice story myself. Like I started writing a book. And this is something I've never done before. So it was really difficult for me to get the hang of it a little bit, to create a good story, because in my mind it was always super easy, kind of. And then when I started, I realized it's not that easy at all. So I tried researching some tools online, and while I found many great tools there, they were all lacking something, and I couldn't find that anywhere, and couldn't really pinpoint what it was. So I tried to come up with a solution myself, and that's why I'm trying to build Plot Maniac right now. And in like the overall plan is this project should make some money at some point. So I came up with a 3-tier business model, but it's not really fixed yet. So in my mind, I'm still developing it. So I have a landing page up already, and I just decided let everyone join for free. Why not? I mean, I don't have much yet, but in the future, I will figure out the exact pricing of everything. But for the scope of this cohort, I'm planning to build my first, let's say, running product. And with that, I have committed to, let's say, a small subset of Plot Maniac, which is called the Plot Box. It's basically the tool which organizes your plot. And out of the Plot Box, I want to build, let's say, the 4 base elements, like managing your characters, managing your, well, here I call it landmarks, but the product will be called locations. Then like items and events in general, things that drive the plot forward. You can all check out more detail on my website for sure, or like follow me on Twitter and Medium. That's where I blog about the project. And in order to validate if there's really if this is really something people are interested in, I encourage everyone to give me as much feedback as possible. So I'm trying to reach out through this cohort to at least 10, let's say, creators in that realm. Like might it be like novel writers or like content creators on YouTube and stuff like that. So I plan to reach out at least to 10 people, hopefully more. Let's see how it goes. I try to set my goal here a little bit low. And in the end of this cohort, I want to have up a running landing page, which I have already, but I still need a user sign up, and of course I need the basic plot box. And I hope by the beginning of next week's presentation, all of you guys will have a more a better understanding of what I mean by that, because then I will actually show a demo. So hopefully, will be all clear then. All right.
All right. And I just wanted to say one thing. I don't know if I did before, but for everyone watching, the only thing we're going to hold the participants accountable to is the success criteria, right? And they've defined that themselves. So besides the weekly blogging and the tweeting and showing up to these live streams, the only thing which they need to do is fulfill the success criteria. And you'll see that these are already defined vastly differently for the different projects. But if you know, some might already be further along and are able to set a more lofty goal.
Yeah, in the for my timeline, I just set it up very straightforward, since I have a, let's say, very straightforward timeline. So in the first week, I just want to build the, let's say, the basic elements of my character building page. And I want to build a picture upload functionality, which I can actually use for any of those elements, because I think you might want to attach pictures to every, say, plot box element. And then I'm just going from there. So in the second week, I'm building out the 2 next elements of my plot box, which I think should be doable, because I have a good foundation already from the character part, which I tried to build in the first week. Then in the third week, I wanted to build my last element and test it as much as possible, fix some bugs. And that's what I will do in the first week as well, because I'm a developer. I know there are always bugs. So I assigned a very good time for testing and bug fixing to that. So I will hope by the end of week 4 should be possible to use my product already. Yeah, and yeah, the KPIs. Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't put anything in here yet. I will do that starting next week. I have already some of those numbers, but from the top of my head, I just don't know it. So I cannot say much about that now. So next week we'll know more about that. Yeah, that's it.
Great, thanks, Timo. Let's see if he'll let you talk a little, Ruskell.
Cool. So I guess that means I'm getting started then. So I'm Kyle. I'm doing Underdog Sites. So the goal with Underdog Sites is that it's going to be a platform that primarily like freelancers, coaches, digital product providers, they can all use to kind of get their business up and started. It's going to provide them with the ability to create a website and then give them access to tools that are really common for people in those types of industries when they're getting started. So like an example of that would be the ability to schedule one-on-one appointments with people and things like that. So it's for the people who do very hands-on work with the people that they work with. So the business model that I'm planning to use is going to be a 3-tiered type thing. I'm not exactly sure what's going to fall into each tier, other than I know that the first tier is really just going to be, here's my basic website. You know, I've got a couple of pages available, something very, very simple just for people to get started. Maybe they don't need all the extra tools yet. They just want a place that people can go and see their face. The scopes that I'm going to be following is my goal is to build a landing page for people to kind of view what the plan and the overall outline is of what Underdog Sites is going to be about. I would like to have a way for them to sign up for some type of beta type access. I don't know exactly how that's going to look as far as pricing goes, but the goal is to have it available so that people can actually do some type of prepayment to show that there's interest in it. So the launch strategy I'm going to be using, it's going to be primarily very, very communication based within like Facebook groups and things like that, which is actually an area that I struggle in. So it's going to be a big challenge for this. For this thing, I'm very good at kind of holding up into the world and just kind of keeping to myself and work on things when people reach out to me, but I'm not used to reaching out to other people. So that's going to be a fun challenge for this month. And then the success criteria that I will be following is I want that live website up that has the pre-sale page or beta test sign up type page available for people. And then I want to have a launch date determined for when people are going to be able to access their dashboard as beta testers. And then just because I've got a lot of new stuff happening all at once right now, that is very basic. I tried to set my bar extra low so that way I knew I could hit it in a month. I tend to put on too much and then get frazzled by everything else going on in my life and kind of miss the mark severely. So this seems very doable based on my current schedule and things like that. So yeah.
That's a good strategy.
All right. And then so the timeline that I'm going to be following is week 1. I just want like a landing page where people can sign up, put their email address in to get more info. So as I send out updates, things like that, they can sign up for that type of stuff. I want to decide on the basic scope of what types of features would be included in each tier. Now, those aren't going to be set in stone, but I want to have something available for people to kind of get a general idea. Week 2, I really want to figure out how I want to do pricing for beta testers, and figure out how exactly I'm going to be doing that. Get a user dashboard, at least like wireframed, for lack of a better phrase. It doesn't have to be totally built out. I don't have to show every single feature that's available. I just want like a basic like design and feel ready to go. Week 3, I want to build the basic dashboard pages. So that's going to be like the website builder portions of it. That might go as far as allowing people to kind of get into if they want to have like a blog or something like that. I want to keep things very, very basic because I can always roll out the next set of features later. And I always have to remind myself that. But let's get like the MVP type stuff out first. And that first big hurdle is going to be making it so that people can build their websites. So we're going to get that started. I want to have some videos or images ready to go so I can add those to the pre-sale page for beta testers so they have something visual to look at. And then week 4 is I want to build and publish that pre-sale page. And while I'm going to be doing this part kind of a little bit throughout everything, actually specifically reaching out for feedback is something that I want to dedicate in week 4. So I'll be talking to people about it throughout the whole time, but actually reaching out and asking for feedback actively is something that I'll be doing in week 4. And then, so the KPIs that I chose are all right here. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do a whole lot with YouTube, but I figure, if I'm going to make videos, that's probably a smart place to put it. So threw that up there. Newsletters, that made sense. The sales probably won't have a whole lot going on until week 4 or even later. But I figured it'd be kind of fun to track and see what happens with that as that beta option becomes available. The rest are all pretty self-explanatory. These are going to be rough areas where I'll be sharing what I'm doing. So just kind of tracking where my followers are for that type of stuff will be fun.
Awesome. So I forgot, sorry, Timo, I wanted to give maybe 30 seconds per project if anyone has a question. So maybe we'll start if there's still any questions for Plot Maniac. Perfectly explained, Timo. I guess no questions. Any
Wonderful.
questions for Kyle? Anything we need to clarify? All right, seems pretty clear as well. 2 for 2. Not a community.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
You can.
You guys able to hear me? Fantastic. All right. Hey, guys. My name is Lou, and my project is Not a Community. So Not a Community is a anonymous support group for entrepreneurs. This stems from my own personal needs. So as fellow entrepreneurs, it's a difficult road. It's a lonely road at times, regardless of your team size. And as the entrepreneur or the leader in that group, there's a certain persona that you kind of have to project, right? And as we go down this road, there are ups and downs, and some of the downs are, really terrible. I mean, it's a swing. So as we go down this road, there are things that are stressors that, we can't really discuss with anybody for some fear of some type of consequence, whether it's a really big consequence or it's just some internal consequence we have in our heads. So we start internalizing these issues, and then it starts to build up, and it starts taking a mental toll on us, right? So this is something that I've gone through myself, and that's why I was looking for a solution to it. I think the only real solution out there right now is you get yourself some therapy, right? Besides that, you internalize it, you work it out, and you figure it out. So the thought is, how can we create an environment where maybe through anonymity, where members can be, honest and open without the consequences? Like, is it a place that we can just go and externalize our issues, do it in an anonymous way so that, we can get it out of our mind, off our chest, just, it's just a release. So that's where, Not a Community comes in. We see it as, a place where you can come and give support, receive support, and do it in a way where, it's just through anonymity, you kind of can avoid some consequences. It's a concept. We'll see if it works or not. So that's the project itself. The business model, I'm thinking that this may be a paid community, pricing to be determined. It could just be a public service. I'm not sure yet. As for the scope, the concept is a, the concept is something where I'm just testing out. And also the way that I'm going to execute this is another kind of test for myself as well. So Not a Community is a side project for me. And so I want to basically time box the creation and execution of the project. So I want to see what I can do to go from 0 to 30 days from 0 to paid users in 30 days in a very constrained time frame. So I'm going to work on this a minimum of 1 hour and a maximum of 2 hours per day. So we'll see what can be accomplished in that time frame. And I'm starting at 0. So part of the scope is, creating the brand, launching the site, having the sign up in there, launch the community platform, and then also implement a payment system. So at the end of this, it's going to be, a working community that people can pay and start using. The launch strategy is to really kind of post in communities and on social media where other entrepreneurs are at. I'm going to reach out to my own network as well. There's a lot of kind of customer testing and development. I think it's going to be needed. And also, working to if this is a good concept and people buy into it, I'm expecting there'll be some referrals from other members as well. So at the end of the project, the end of the 30 days, my success criteria is I want to have a live working community with 10 paid members. If I can accomplish that, I would consider that a success. All right, so let's talk about timeline. So again, I'm starting at 0. I have nothing, but I bought the domain name and I have a page in there that says, what it is. So week 1 is about setting up. So it's going to be branding and creating other assets. I need to create the landing page to start kind of acquiring people, like signups. And then I'm going to try to start scheduling some member discovery calls to really kind of understand the needs and to kind of pitch this concept as well. Week 2 is the build week for me. I'm going to start setting up the tools and getting everything together so that people can start actually using the community. And I'm hoping to get the payment piece in there as well. Again, we'll continue the member discovery calls. Week 3, just refining, getting the tools ready to go. Hopefully onboard some of my early membership customers and then continue the member calls. And then week 4, it's really going to be kind of opened up to the rest of the world so that people can sign themselves up. So that's the timeline there. And then as for KPIs, this is really your traditional user acquisition KPIs or strategy. It's going to be driving the website visitors and then from there converting them to my pre-launch signups. After that, converting those into those users to onboard those members, and from there converting them from just into a paid member. So traditional funnel.
Awesome.
That's
Very
it.
worthy cause, I think. Any questions for you guys?
All right. Thanks, guys.
You're all on fire with the explaining. Fantastic. Very clear. Okay, Sasha, Live Man Switch.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Sasha. I will be working on a small service called Live Man Switch. It's basically a service that sends messages to whoever you define if you become unavailable to the service. So, for example, the imagined use cases are if you have some digital assets that you want to pass on in case you become unavailable in a coma, dead, or whatever. So, yeah, it's a kind of a grim, but it could be really useful service because, as I already said in a previous call, for example, for Bitcoin, already 1/6 or 1/5 of all Bitcoins are already lost because people lost their wallets, or in one case, one owner of one large market died, and all the coins on that market were lost. It was like millions of dollars lost. So that is one use case where people want to pass on their digital assets. Coins are one of the assets. Maybe they have some other important things for them, some documents that they don't want to make available to other people right now, but if something happens to them, they want for other people to be able to access them. The other use cases are, for example, for people who are elderly. and they live alone. For example, they could set a checkup, for example, that service checks on them twice daily or once daily, and if they do not reply to the service on that check, the service would send a message to their family to check them on if everything is okay with them. Maybe they slipped, fell down, something happened, and somebody needs to check on them. Other use cases are in the similar category. If, for example, you are ill and you want to be sure if the worst case scenario comes, that you can pass on whatever you want to the loved ones. And there are maybe other not so grim use cases. For example, you can set up, if you want to get on some new habit, you can set up a daily check that will check, for example, I want to meditate each day for 10 minutes, and there will be a daily check on you. And if you didn't meditate, you will not respond to the service, and it will send some embarrassing message to someone or something like that. So it could be some kind of additional social pressure for you to stick to your habit. So yeah, I'll see. I hope that those kind of uses could emerge from the users themselves. Some uses that I didn't even imagine that could fit in there. For the business model, I think I will charge in the range of $50 per year, because for my initial use cases, for my initial target users, I think they will benefit most from the prolonged usage of the service, not from some monthly usage or similar. For the scope, I want for people to be able to set the check interval, create the trigger. For example, I didn't reply to the service in 1 day, 3 hours, or whatever, and to create actions that will happen if the trigger triggers, and obviously to pay for the yearly plan. I think I will also squeeze SMS checks, because I checked the Twilio API and it's really easy to integrate. So I'll probably do both email and SMS checks. And for actions, I will probably implement messages, webhooks, and if I will check Zapier, so maybe the service will be also able to trigger Zapier. For the launch strategy, probably all of us will post to these startup communities, but besides that, I'll start with some maybe Facebook groups or Reddit probably for the crypto community, and poke the interest there and see from there. I don't want to I want to test the service thoroughly, because I don't want to have some bugs where service will send the messages unless it's really where the trigger is triggered. So I want to start with smaller amount of users, but yeah, I will start with those communities. So for the success criteria, I put a number of 30 trial registrations. I will have a 30-day free trial, so I don't expect paid members during this cohort, because I will have 30-day free trial. So I guess nobody will pay before that ends. So for the timeline, in the first week, I want to set up everything in the project that is not really the core of the service, like set up the repo, deployment, all the auxiliary services like payments, error check collection, and things like that, to create the default layouts and for logins to work. And so basically all the functionality that is not the core of this service. For the second week, I want to finish the service, so implement the core functionality. So from the third week onwards, I could test the service, deploy the final version, and find the first users. And for the last week, I will just work on promotion, look what the initial feedback is, and see from there. If I find a user segment that really resonates with the service, I will promote for that segment more with Facebook and Twitter ads, and that's it. For the KPIs, I've just put for the week 3 and week 4 because that's the time where I plan to release the service. I just put 2 KPIs that I think will be easy to hit, but I see, and that's it.
Very cool. So we can all live more relaxed with all our crypto wealth,
I hope
I
so.
guess. Any other questions from you guys?
Yeah, I'm just interested in, I mean, it's obviously not the scope for this month, but are you planning on like using some smart contract platform or something for that, for especially those triggers where you want to automatically like do something if a requirement is not met, like not for the messages and stuff, but like if you want to send crypto, for example, like some smart contract platform would be good, right?
Yeah, I didn't imagine it to be that complicated. It's just basically normal web service. No, it doesn't interact. It doesn't interact with the actual blockchain. So
Okay.
one problem is privacy issue, because I obviously do not imagine that people will upload the actual keys to the service or wallet seeds or whatever, because I would never do that, and I would not want for people to upload the keys. So for those kind of uses where you don't imagine people uploading really private data, I would want for people to like use this service to send messages to whoever, to explain them how to get whatever they want them to get in the offline world. So they would need to mix like online and offline to get what they want. For example, they will store the key somewhere in the offline world, and they will explain by message how to get that key. So
Okay.
something like that. Or they will upload half of the key seed to the service, and half would be on the offline paper somewhere written, and something like that.
Okay, sounds interesting.
Awesome. Last but not least, Chap, you're up.
All right. I really liked, Sasha, the social aspect of it. I think that the shaming and community aspect of it would be very meaningful, and people would really latch onto that as like a, not so serious component of it. I think people would really enjoy that. I think that's really cool. Everybody's working on really cool stuff. So my name's Chap. I'm working on Rerouted. We are trying to change the used outdoor gear industry. So I'm in a little bit of a different situation. We've already been doing this for 2 years. I've gone through boatloads of customer discovery. I have a fairly meaningful team, and we are trying to execute and launch a crowdfunding campaign right now. And really what we're trying to do is use this crowdfunding campaign to continue to leverage and iterate on the technology we're building, which is at our core what the business is all about, is making a tech that's going to allow people to upload anything on the internet really, really fast for sale, giving that professional quality listing, making it really easy for people to buy used products on the other side of the spectrum. So we have all the levels already ironed out. The scope of this kind of next month is getting the crowdfunding program released. I really want to release the different betas that we have to start building the momentum for our site. I want to create this transactional cycle going through those betas, getting more users, getting more traction on the site. And I'd really like to connect this older network that I've built up over the past 2 years to this new version of what I'm doing, because we've pivoted so many times over the past couple of years as we've learned more. And then the last thing is this is kind of a way for us to get a win and to align the team towards these kind of common objectives over the long term. I think I had kind of done my launch strategy in a sort of timeline, so I'll kind of talk a little bit more about that come the next page. But really what the strategy of this crowdfunding campaign is to set reasonable, obtainable goals and to really make a big marketing push. We already have a meaningful amount of members on the website. What I'd really like to do is just kind of get that gear flowing. And the way we're going to do that is by generating buzz. So ultimately, the success criteria I laid out for this project is to produce the crowdfunding video, which I spent all of this weekend in Flagstaff, Arizona, filming with my team. I'm hoping to sell one of each level in week 1 because I know how important the first week is to the crowdfunding campaign. And if we have sold kind of one of each of the tiers, that indicates to me that we are going to, in the end, successfully achieve our crowdfunding campaign, because that means that I generated enough buzz early. The key component to all of this working is to double the inventory on our website. Right now, we have about 350 items online right now, and I'd really like to use these beta platforms to add another 300, whether or not that's gear that I collect, whether or not that's our influencers that are doing some of this work for us, or whether or not it's some of my partners that I'm trying to rally back into the fold. But ultimately, those are kind of the side projects that are going into this, but the actual success is to launch this campaign in earnest with our best foot forwards to be successful. Yeah, like I said, there is a lot of moving parts in this whole project. Uploading the gear and inventory, that's what I'm doing this week. We're finishing the version 1 of the tech. We're trying to collect that feedback that we have from the first 2 pieces of really, really prototypey tech that we released to our close-knit network. Collecting that feedback, continuing to create the content and working on some auditing and just refreshing all of our systems to make sure everything's running smoothly and is ready for scale if we do get a big surge come the release of the crowdfunding campaign. We're going to continue to fill content in week 2. We're going to really make a buzz push to hit up all of our existing network to find new blogs, podcasts, etc. to get on. And then we're really focusing on this week. We're having a big kind of team offsite, even though it's virtual, where we're really saying, hey, we're doing this crowdfunding campaign, but what's the 6-month, what's the year-long plan? How do we make sure that all the decisions that we're making are leading towards that long-term goal? And then we have an email list of almost 400 something users, and I have no idea how to run an email marketing campaign. So we need to figure out how to leverage those users into being meaningful. Week 3, we're looking to do some serious iterations, really prep, because that's the week that we're actually going to launch the crowdfunding campaign and make sure that everything is good to go, have that media kit completed so that as people hear about us and reach out, we're ready to just fire them back an email and continue pushing those sales calls, because I don't want to have a nice explosion right at the beginning of the campaign and have it taper off because nobody cares about what we're doing and there's nobody new flowing into the cycle. So the idea is that this media is going to help carry us through week 3, 4, and 5, because we want to get, it's about we're planning to close the campaign April 1st. And so then week 4, that's the first week of the campaign. I'm hoping that if we've done all the rest of it right, there is that big surge that week and allows me to really take calls from media to continue to do more sales, to really drive that traffic, to work with the customers that are new coming on board. And then that last week is really, we want to do a nice data analysis and then make sure that we're achieving our week 1 goals of the crowdfunding campaign and then doing whatever we need to do to achieve our goals for April 1st as well. I'm psyched to be here, though. It's going to be fun. So these are just kind of my KPIs right now on the site. And I realized that I wrote weekly sales. That was supposed to say monthly sales. I'm sorry, Sven. That was my bad. Yes, we're doing about $300.
Well, you better up your game then.
I fucking know.
New target set.
I mean, weirdly enough, I've hit it this first week of February, these first 2 weeks of February, but that is not on purpose. I was supposed to say monthly. Total listings uploaded. That's where we're at right now. And that's what I'm trying to double before the actual launch of the crowdfunding campaign. Yeah, it's exciting. Got a lot of good stuff going on. And I think that the best KPI, you guys know how we're doing, is how good I feel. And I feel really good right now. So as long as I keep feeling good, I think we're going to be fine. And well, I mean, I guess the team should be included in that, but I think they're doing great. They love it. But thanks, guys. I'm super excited.
That's very cool. So I do have a question, and I like this perfect segue for you in the end there with the stress level. Since you're kind of, at least in this group, a bit of an outlier with an existing team and company, I would love if you could bring them in, like occasionally, like not the entire team or anything, but if you have any updates next week where someone did something meaningful, like have them present it, that'd be super cool. Give them an audience. I would love to meet them.
That would be great. I'm happy to do that. That would be my pleasure. They'd love it.
Great. Anyone else? Questions before we route it? All right, then no questions, but I have a call to action for you all. Upload your used gear and reroute it. I'm sure we all have some. I know I have some.
Yeah, I got some for you.
Yeah, woo, let's go. I'll get you guys. We actually have a brand new uploader that we finished kind of this weekend that nobody's ever used. So I'll make sure to drop that in the Slack so you guys can go give us some feedback, test it, see how it works. What it does right now is it goes through you guys do the upload via the form that we made. Then it hits our database in an approval process. And then we'll kind of screen it, approve it with you guys. I'm not too worried about it because I'm sitting here talking to you guys, but the idea is that for a bunch of strangers, it allows me to protect the customers on the other end. And then also, just so you guys know, I have a 14-day return policy where people can return anything used directly to me so that eliminates the risk of getting shafted. That's really what it was all about. I collect it in my warehouse and then I resend it out from here. So that's how we kind of manage that risk on that end. If customers aren't happy, I say, great, send it back. And then we deal with it from there.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm excited to see, like, as we go through those weeks, I'm sure Chad will share a little bit more about his vision for the company as well. We had a little bit of time to chat before that. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting, ambitious, but pretty cool. So that's all of the projects we have for this month. How do you guys feel about it? How do you guys feel about everyone else's success criteria? Does everything seem like realistic?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited to see, like, first of all, of course, how my project goes and also how all of your project goes. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. And especially for Lou, I think if you can make that happen, like from 0 to what you've planned, then we should definitely talk afterwards because I want to know how you did it. Because yeah, I mean that's especially something that I'm lacking in. I mean, I have the development skills and stuff, but yeah, I'm still struggling with let's say the community outreach and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how everything goes. I mean, there are so many different, let's say, projects and different skills involved here. It's definitely nice.
Don't worry, man. I'll share everything along the way. So
yeah,
we'll do a playbook.
Will be interesting.
Yeah, just copy what he does. Or well, maybe you might want to wait until the end of the launch cohort, and then if it works.
Let's see what the end result looks like.
Yeah, but I love that too. Actually, like the time boxed approach is very, very interesting because from the core concept, right, of launching something, like I said in the beginning, for most people, this is like it starts with side projects because, like again, most people have some sort of day job, they have some sort of other responsibilities, and I'm a big fan of, I think I learned a new term about it. It's commonly referred to or starting to be referred to as the passion economy, right? And building side projects, becoming an indie hacker, maybe starting a YouTube channel, becoming a creator in one way or another, right? It's all about diversified income streams. And I think that's a very desirable world we could live in, I think, if this goes where it seems to be going, right? Because I listened to a couple of good podcasts. I believe I shared them with you. If not, check them out. I think it's the last episode of the Indie Hackers podcast, which is great, with Lee Jin. She's a bit of a leader in that space of the passion economy. And where you can't today, I mean, for me, that's always been kind of scary, actually. But I don't know how many of you still think that you can have one employer and just stick with them for, your life, right? Your entire life. That's, again, that in itself is like anxiety creating for me. It's like, ooh, one thing for my entire life, that's just scary. But I think
and yet you're married, right?
I knew that was gonna come. Slightly different. We are creating, different experiences for ourselves. But usually with your boss, you can't just say, hey, I want to, you work at a coal plant or something. It's like, I'd love to do nuclear fission now. That doesn't work, right? Like in a relationship, you can at least start your own stuff. But anyway, that's what I wanted to say. So I think it's very, very exciting. Very cool to see that we have the full spectrum from like 2 hours maximum per week, right? So per day. So that very, very rigid kind of framework all the way to, Chaps, who has an established company, and see if this can make an impact. Because what I'm curious with this entire CoStarting thing, right? Like, is to figure out who is this for, because I just started it for my own, because I saw the need with myself and people I knew, but I had a hunch that it should work for anyone, right? I truly think anyone in this world, every single person has something they can monetize. If that's writing a book, starting a podcast, especially in the passion economy, right? Or if you're a mechanic, start teaching that, right? I think we are going, even in education, I think we're going beyond where you pay $50,000 a year for college, and then you go out and do else afterwards. Anyways, where with all of this content we have now at our fingertips, with courses created by leaders in industries, right? I think it's going to be very, very interesting over the next 5 to 10 years or so, maybe faster, to see what's going to happen. Good. Excellent. Anything else you have on anything you want to get off your conscience, or?
I was just going to say,
this?
For all you guys that are reaching out to communities, let me know when you do that, because I think that one of the things that's my favorite thing to do in the whole world, cold call people and tell them about what I'm doing. So if you guys want help with that, I'm all in on that. You guys, nobody answers the phone anymore. So if you call people on the phone, nobody expects a phone call. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. Nobody expects a phone call anymore.
Not the legitimate one, anyway.
So you call people on the phone and you're like, hey, I'm just calling because I'm interested in your business, or I'm interested in what you do and I got some questions for you. Almost everybody takes the time to answer those questions. I've almost never had anybody say no. If you're just like, hey, I'd just love to learn more about what you're doing, they're happy to tell you. So just call people and ask. That's one of the best things that I've learned over the past couple of years.
Okay, nice. Interesting.
That's a very good point. Right? People like to talk about themselves. That's always been true. So give them an open ear, and I think just by reaching out to people early, right? I think you all said it, from week one. You need a customer discovery, talking to people. You think you know who your customer is, you probably don't, right? I usually don't. And I'm super guilty of not doing this myself, of course, but but talk to everyone as soon as you can. And share that, right? Share your experiences. I think you guys, between the 5 of you, you can learn and help each other so much over the next 4 weeks with the complementary skill sets you already have, that I would be surprised if you don't all make your launch criteria. Sweet. Excellent. Well, then we'll end our kickoff session with this. I have some divine help here behind me, apparently. And we see you guys next week. All of the check-ins are on Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tune in. One last thing, share it. You're gonna get as much out of it as you put in, right? So share what you are doing, what the cohort's doing. Share those live streams. Tag each other in your daily updates, stuff like that. Let's help amplify each other because of the shared outreach with all of the Twitter followers and whatnot we have together. Will make a difference.
Kyle, did you make a CoStarting Twitter list? Did you make it? Can you share that with us?
Yeah. I'm still in the process of making sure everybody gets on it, but I can definitely share it. And then if you catch someone who should be on it that I missed, just let me know.
That would be awesome. I saw you added something to the list. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I should do that. And I figured I could just get you to send it over to me instead of me doing it.
There you go. Excellent. All right, great. Well, thank you so much, guys. Good luck with the first week. I'm looking forward to seeing all the updates.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.